Here we go. It's been a little bit since I've posted, purely because I have been working a lot. But I wanted to get on here. I wish I could have got on here yesterday. Indiana's loss to Alabama. Really, 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 really bad officiating. Horrible officiating. There was a couple of calls that I think kind of flipped the tide. We came out sloppy, kind of slow. I wouldn't call it so much sloppy as we just came out flat. Um, Second half we really picked it up. The end of the first half into the second half we picked it up and we were digging in and climbing back into the game. There was a no goaltending uh, that there was goaltending that was not called, and it was so bad. Half the stadium stood up and was throwing a fit about it. So and they did a replay there. It was obvious without the replay, but they showed it on slow motion replay, and it was definitely goaltending. And that should have been 2 points toward us. Instead, it was transition points the other direction, and I believe they got a three off of it. Um, we come down, we score. They come back on our side of the court, and we get hit for flopping. When I saw that, flopping was not even close. I don't know. It's almost like officiating, one referee or whatever. It just seemed like he was favoritizing. He had more favoritism toward Alabama than us. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't get it. They were so blunt missed calls. It was ridiculous. The flop call is a technical, and they get the ball. So they did get the free throw. So now what we got is 2 points we didn't get. So that's two. They get a three. That is five. They get a free throw, a freebie, and they hit it. That is six. They get the ball, and they smoke another three. That's a 9 point turnaround off the bat. And then at this point, before that point, we were only down, I think, five. And that 2 pointer would have been actually knocked us down to three. We should have been down 3 points. Instead, it was a 9 point turnaround. It made us down 13, I think, at that time. I couldn't believe it. But those two calls just completely took the momentum out of our drive. Up and down the court, the momentum was just gone. It was gone. There's momentum swings during a game that allows the other team to actually able to build up really its confidence, and they start hitting shots. And we were at that point, and that it just flattened. It flattened us. We lost the momentum. We couldn't hit a shot. It deflated us. We end up losing the game. Now we're also without Shafino, and it's obvious. We have no good guard play right now, and we are missing the behind the arc shot that we're not getting. We're just not. And I don't know. There was gameplay that I didn't like. There were players that took threes that should not be taking threes. And yes, there was one or two hit by those players, but overall they missed. So, and I'd rather not get those threes and get twos off of them just because they're better shots for those specific players. And I'm not going to go through and call out everybody. And for those of you who will actually watch Indiana, you know who those players are. But, I believe the foul calls were favoring Alabama as well. Davis got in foul trouble really in the first half. I mean, he was sitting on the bench a lot. We still had, I think, over 8 minutes left in the game, and I think he was all the way up to 5. So I don't know. Indiana is a better team than what they showed on the court, even though the cards were stacked against them. They were, and I don't even understand it. It wasn't. It was a neutral site. I want to know, does NCAA look at how bad the referees called a game and say you're not going to, call any more games for X amount of time? Like you have, you're basically suspended for today, or I mean, how does this work? And I honestly don't know. I've never really asked that question or looked into it, which I'm sure I can find the answers. By all means, please comment and let me know. But those were some really, really, really hard to miss calls, and I just have a hard time believing that NCAA just lets that shit ride. So if you know the answer to that, please comment. Um, I just I don't know. I personally think we're in the game. We have a chance to win it if those specific 2 calls at the end of the game were not made. And there was multiple calls toward the end of the game that were even questionable whenever, it was obvious that we were most likely going to lose the game. But there were still some really bad calls. The refs just, I don't know. Kent Sterling, this breakfast with Kent, really good at breaking stuff down. At the game, and he does really good with the stats. He really does the crunch work. I personally think that those 2 calls, like I said, I think swung the game. He made comment that as bad as the refereeing was, Indiana kind of stuck it to themselves with it. Yes, they came out flat. Yes, they took them a while to get going, but they kept themselves in the game and they had a chance to win it. Regardless about with the refereeing, I think Kent's point was if they played well enough to win, they would have won. But that's and he's right to an extent. But the game changes tremendously without those 2 calls. Tremendously. As a matter of fact, it's a charge instead of flopping. So I don't know. I believe those were game-changing calls. I really do. And I hope the NCAA looks at those calls. I hope they actually do something about bad reffing. Well, I don't know what it is, but I hope it's something. So, but yes, Indiana loses to Alabama, and in a game that I thought they was going to win. So, I do believe Indiana's going to be really tough at home. I believe they'll probably go undefeated at home. I don't see anybody coming into, our arena and doing anything to us. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of disappointed at the same time. You're going to get those losses. I guess it's better to get those losses at the beginning of the season. But if anybody was watching that game, oh my goodness, we almost had a coach thrown out. He was so hot. I hope if you haven't seen the game, you record the game. If you haven't seen the game, I hope you figure out a way to watch it, because it really was a telltale on how devoted the team was to try to win that game, regardless how much they were out of it, and how bad the coaching, or not the coaching, but how bad the refereeing was. So, I please watch the game. The highlights don't say enough about the game, but yeah, it was really, really, really bad refereeing. So, the Colts were on a bye week, as we all know. I don't know what to expect from them. I'm pretty sure all the games that got played, I don't know that they even have a chance to the playoffs. I don't expect them to make playoffs, but for whatever reason, They still had a shot last week, so I'm gonna have to actually look into that. But I'm pretty sure there was a game that had to be lost that got won, as well as Denver and Kansas City game. Really good game. I don't know if anybody actually watched that game. I didn't get to see the entire game, and I ain't gonna lie, I looked at the highlights, and there was there was a weird hit. It wasn't so there. It was what in the fourth quarter. I think there was 10 minutes left. Denver was driving, and their quarterback got, I don't know, undercut and kind of took his legs in the air at a weird way, and it caused his helmet to hit the ground first, and the hit that came after that was kind of forced. So I'm going to put a clip to that video at the end of this video so you can see it. But we all know how important Russell Wilson is to Denver. Russell Wilson has not been Russell Wilson, but he's a heck of a quarterback. Just, I don't know if he hasn't fit Denver's system. My opinion about that, about Russell Wilson going to Denver, I thought it would hold him back, and I think it's exactly what happened. Denver wants him to stay in the pocket, and that's how he's played all season long. And I think what that does is give him a handicap, because he's now able to use his legs, and I honestly think he throws better, kind of making things happen, so to speak. So this game, he was making things happen. He was looking good. He was starting to look like the old Russell Wilson. And apparently, according to commentaries during that game, they made a comment that he came out and said he's going to show a little bit of his old self, and he had kind of a smile on his face, like he had nothing else to do but enjoy the game and how he plays. And Denver might have just opened the book and said, hey, you do what you do good and see if we can win this game. And I almost feel like that's what happened. I mean, they don't have a chance at the playoffs whatsoever, so I think this was a thing where they want to see if they could win with Russell Wilson being Russell Wilson. And I believe they were in the game, and they probably could have won it. But they got down to I think he took it down to the 3-yard line when he got put out of the game. And his helmet hit the turf so hard that when they pulled him up, turf lifted up with his helmet because it was buried in the turf. I mean, the helmet did its job. I'm pretty sure he's got a severe concussion. He's probably going to be out for a while. And I know this isn't about the Colts or about Indiana, but I want to really point this out because everybody's trashing on Matt Ryan, and Russell Wilson really hasn't done anything this year until this game. He started playing his game. Now, I'm also going to be one of the ones that, not necessarily going to trash Matt Ryan, but I'm going to say he's not the quarterback we need. He is very antsy. He folds under pressure. He's probably sore. He's been hit all year. I still believe that we need to step down and put our rookie in. I mean, he's done nothing but good things in preseason. He played 2 regular season games and they pulled him. And we had this discussion already, so I don't need to go over it again, but I hope that he gets a shot. I know we have Matt Ryan for another year, but do you really think you're going to figure this stuff out with Matt Ryan? Because if you watch him play, and they have to be watching, they have to be watching tape. They have to be breaking tape down. Because, I mean, if you watch him, if he starts to feel like he is, I don't know, it's almost like he's claustrophobic when he gets back there and he gets antsy and he starts making mistakes. So, but anyways, beside the point, so they're on a bye week. Can't wait till they start playing again. I cannot recall who they play because I have not looked at the rest of their schedule to just give me a reminder. But I want to put a video at the end of this You guys watch it, enjoy it. I hope my videos are getting better. I hope they're entertaining. If you're entertained by this video, please like it. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed, and hit the bell, tell you when I'm on. I'm gonna start going live as much as I can. Have not done that yet. That's gonna be interesting. I don't even know how to handle it yet with the chats, but we will figure this out together.
Avoids it, and is gonna run for it. First down inside the 5. Broncos players reacting, and Wilson went down hard. They were calling for the athletic trainer right away.
You see how he goes and watch the head? Yep. Right into the turf. Frank Clark fell on top awkwardly right there. He got hit initially and then
Went down very hard.
In our meeting, on the way out the door, he gave us a little smile.